The 10 remembrances. We are on number 8. Baruch Hashem. We're going to talk today about Miriam, the prophets in the desert. We already talked last week about a lot of interesting things, and we've learned a lot from these remembrances. Baruch Hashem, I can even say remembrances correctly, which I'm proud of myself. What is number 8? Number 8 is, let me read it for you. And if you can get me the book, the Siddur, it'll be even greater. And I want to give you the exact quote. It's from Deuteronomy. Miriam, the prophet in the desert. We must remember that Hashem gave us our mouth and the power of speech for the purpose of thanking Him, as it is written in Isaiah 43:21. I have formed this nation for myself, talking related to the people of Israel, so that they may tell my praise. Isaiah 43:21. Immediately before reciting the Amidah prayer, we say, God, open my lips so that my mouth may tell your praises. We certainly do not want Hashem to open our lips and mouth so that we can complain, cry, and speak ill of others. On number 8, we are saying something we're saying every morning, the 10 remembrances. We say that the deed, I read it in Hebrew, U'ma'aseh Miriam Nevi'ah, the deed of Miriam, the prophet. This is from Deuteronomy 24:9. What happened there? So the commentary in this Siddur, we're talking about Miriam criticized her brother Moses on the grounds that he did not live with his wife. She failed to consider that a man of Moses' humility and unselfishness will not have done so unless he had been commanded always to hold himself in readiness for prophecy, a condition that required abstinence. Yes. Miriam was punished with sarat. It's a disease similar to leprosy, and was healed because of Moses' prayers. This teaches us never to slander another person. The story is as follows. After the people complain against Moshe, against Hashem actually, or testing Hashem, they complain because they were traveling to a place called Kadesh Barnea. In Kadesh Barnea, they were there camping for 19 years. So they are moving, and they're already moving for 3 days, and they complain. Hashem actually wanted to bring them to the land of Israel. But they started to complain, and punishments came over the people. They didn't trust Hashem as was expected. And then Moshe is gathering 70 elders so they can help him out to address the people, the mitzvot, the Torah. It'll be easier to get answers for what they need, to run the camp, the big camp. 2 guys, the Midrash says they were actually the brothers of Moshe and Aaron, from a different mother. Eldad Umeidad, great tzaddikim. They were prophesied, and on the side, the 2 sisters-in-law, Miriam and Tzipporah, are looking at the whole ceremony, and Tzipporah saw something. Oh, poor guys, poor wives of these guys. Now they're going to be away from their wives. Miriam immediately understands that if you become such a leader, a prophet, assigned to help the people of Israel, meaning that you won't be with your wife intimately, And she said, hold on. That's what Tzipporah says. She meant actually that Moses is not with her for such a long time. This is not right. She didn't act like the big sister that she wants to fix things. She wants to know what's going on, and this is not fair, and this is against her belief. What happened? If you remember, when she was 5 years old, she had only a brother that is 2 years old away between them. He was 3 years old, Aharon. Moshe didn't born yet. At that time, Miriam decided that not Miriam, her father, Amram, her father, decided that he wants to be separate from his wife Yocheved. So what happened was, he a little bit. He said, the decree was at that time that thank you. The decree was that at that time from Pharaoh, any baby should be thrown to the river. So Amram to the Nile.
Only males.
Okay, the males, right?
Yeah.
So the babies. So Amram says, "There's no point to live with my wife."
No.
So she goes separate ways. And this little girl, 5 years old, was so upset. Why are you so upset, Miriam? She said, Abba, you're worse than Pharaoh.
Oh.
This little child said to her father, the greatest rabbi of that generation. Amram says, why? Because Pharaoh's decree was against the males only, the boys, and now I'm not going to have no baby boys and no baby girls. Your decree is worse because your decree is against boys and girls. Wow, he was amazed. Didn't expect that, especially from not from Miriam. So there's a point in what she's saying. He called back to Yocheved and they remarried. By the way, you can learn from that another thing. What it says, the Mishnah teaches us to learn from everyone. As it says, Mikol melamdai hiskalti, right? I've learned from all teachers, from everyone. I can learn from a young man, from a woman, from an old man, from a non-Jew, from a cat, from an ant. I'm saying, diligent like an ant, loyal like a dog, strong like a horse. We learn even from animals, so definitely we can learn from everybody. Someone tells you the truth, be silent, calculate what they said, and admit. Even listening to a young boy that tells you the truth to your face, take it. Don't be arrogant. What should I listen to? What do you know? Get out of my face. Sometimes a message from Shamayim through little kids. Many times, actually. So, as a result of her actions, or what she said, who came to the world? Moshe. So she felt a responsibility for him. And she said, Moshe is separating himself from his wife Tzipporah. It's against of what I already preaching. They should be together and should multiply. What's going on here? But she failed to understand that it was direct commandment from Hashem, because you have to be in a state of readiness to be called to Hashem, to speak to Hashem at any time. When someone is with his wife, he has to go through a process of emerging in the mikveh. It takes time, sometimes 3 days. You have to be ready. Very special people out of millions do that. So now she called a family sit down. So Moses there and Aaron is there. And she said, I want to know what's going on. It's not appropriate, so and so. Moses didn't respond. He was silent. Who interfered? God himself. God himself says, he is a prophet, you're a prophet, and Aharon prophets. Because she said, we are prophet too, and we don't distinguish ourselves, we don't separate ourselves from my husband, Aharon, his wife. Why are you separating yourself? I'm glad I heard that from Tzipporah. And Hashem interfered immediately and says, your prophecy is not at the level of Moses' prophecy. Moses has to be ready 24/7. You guys are not. And at that moment, she got this tzarat, and thanks to her brother's prayers, that he says, El na refa na la. He says 5 words and she was healed. Nonetheless, she was talking slander against her brother. He prayed for her. We can learn about Moses' qualities at that time. He was praying. By the way, we learn many halachot about that. When you want to pray for someone, you should do it short, brief, and to the point. Why? People saying, how is it possible that when his sister is out of the camp with the sarat, he's not spending time and praying for his sister? Because people says, no, for his sister, he's praying for hours. For us, he's in short tefillah for prayers, and Hashem accepted that. By the way, why he didn't say her name? So we learn from that, when you pray for someone and he's present, you don't have to mention his name. But when they're not present, you say Miriam, Yaakov, Ben, Shula, Bat, so forth and so on. But when they're present, when they are there, you don't have to mention their name. That's a side note. Rabbi Milubavitch, in one of his classes, I think it was before girls that had a camp called Emunah, he actually take it to another level. And he says, why we have to mention what Miriam did every day for generations. It's not, God forbid, against Miriam. It's an advantage for us to learn a great lesson from that. If you have something to say to someone, you say it to him, and then privately, right? Don't bring Aharon to the story. How do we know that? Because we learned that from the verses in the Torah when we had the story with Miriam. She had to leave the camp because of that. And right after that, the story with the spies. They go to the land of Israel, coming back and talking slander against Israel. And with their punishment, we know what happened to them. To speaking badly against the land of Israel. Rashi point out that these wicked people, they saw what happened to Miriam, and yet right after, they're talking badly against the Shonareh, against Israel. They didn't learn the lesson. What does that mean? It means that if they have something to say against Israel, they should go to Moses privately and tell him, Moses, this is the situation. But they didn't say that. As soon as they came back, they went from place to place, from tribe to tribe, chit-chat, talking with everybody. Everybody got excited. They were crying already. And it turns out they bring upon us the 9th of Av, destructions of 2 temples at the 9th of Av. Hashem says, you are crying, today is the 9th of Av in vain. Now in the future you will cry.
You have a reason.
You will have a reason, the 9th of Av twice, in first temple and the second temple. So Rabbi Milubavitch says it's a great lesson for us to learn. You have something to say, to criticize someone, take him aside and talk with him privately. This is how you fulfill the mitzvah of rebuking someone. Or you want to find out the answer, not in front of everyone. Okay? What if that person come and ask you before everyone? It's a different story. He asks, you don't care. But this is a different story. Anyways, so this event with Miriam is to teach us a great lesson. If you don't talk with that person privately, or a person privately, such matters, it might be considered as slander, and you would pay probably a high, very high price. So, it's nothing against Miriam. Miriam, I think, is the only one in the Bible that her name is attached to the word in the Torah. It says Neviah, she's prophet. Even with Abraham, it says Abraham will pray. It says to Avimelech, ask him to pray because he's Navi. But it doesn't say Miriam and Nevi. It doesn't say Abraham Navi, prophet. But Miriam, it says, Miriam Haneviyah, Miriam the prophet. The Torah testifies, she's a prophet. And Hashem was not lenient with her because Hashem is a tzaddik. There is no, Hashem never strayed to the right or the left. And even more so, Hashem is more strict with the righteous. We can learn so many things from this story. How Miriam acted. how Moshe, how Hashem. It's a great lesson for all of us. It's not just an historic lessons, stories. No. It's to teach us how to act with our wife, kids. For example, I was happy to tell you, I was happy with one of my kids today. I got a letter that she got the grades from school, everything. So I called her, and I was doing like a game. I video it. What do you think you got in math? She said, what do you think you got this and that? And I did it privately. Nevertheless, it was good grades. It was really good grades. But I did it privately because I know if I said in front of the kids, that's it, only 95, only 92, they might make later. You don't know, right? So, and she actually asked me, Abba, don't send the video to anybody. I said, no, I'm sending it to you only. You have to be careful even on the good side. There was always a wise guy or wise girl that would say the opposite, or make it as a challenge, and the fight is really coming right after. Talking from experience. Okay. So it's a great lesson, and it's to remind us our responsibilities and duties on a daily basis. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions?
Which were the 5 words that on Moshe prayer?
Which word?
Which
what?
were the 5 words of...
El. You want to write it down? El. Na. By the way, if you want to pray for someone's good health, say these words. It's a code. El. Na. Refa. Na. La. If for a boy, you say lo at the end. El na refa na lo. Please, God, heal him. Please, God, heal him. El na refa na la for a girl, lo for a boy. Okay? It's a code that Moses teaches. The shortened tefillah that you want to do for someone sick will be these words.
Then you think the name of...
Now we can say Yaakov ben Moshe el na refa na lo. You can say as it says in the Torah, El na refana lo, because the Torah it says El na refana la. If you pray for a girl, you can say as it says in the Torah, El na refana la. But for boys, it doesn't say. You cannot say as it says in the Torah because it doesn't say that in the Torah. It says lo. It says la, not lo. You understand what I'm trying to say here? Okay.
You'll write that when it's from the Torah, the female, but not the male.
Right. But you can use the same code, the same way to pray for someone, and it's really, really powerful words.
Why was it only done as a female gender, not a male gender?
It's what do you mean? I don't understand. Wow.
But it's mentioned in the Torah as a female gender.
Because he was praying for his sister.
So it never happened for men.
It happens to be for men they were praying probably in a different way, but the Torah doesn't mention anything. Here the Torah revealed the code. All right, and she was healed immediately. Boom, her skin color changed, and she can come back to the camp. She has to stay away for 7 days out of the camp because of that. But you can imagine that millions of people were waiting for Miriam. They were supposed to leave that day. Why the millions of people waiting for one woman? They could keep, diligence or people that wait for her, family members. You guys go ahead. We'll get to you. Don't worry.
Well, isn't it
the whole camp of Israel waited, millions of people with all their animals and donkeys and sheep and goats. 7 days, the whole week. What are we waiting for? Miriam. Why?
Well, so she's the one that helped to bring all these people to be born.
Tell me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always pay measure for measure. Yeah. When do you know she was waiting for someone?
when she waited for Moshe.
Oh,
When
good.
he was going down.
When?
Until the.
When was it before Moshe? When? How old was Moses?
He was 2 years old.
He was in the crib.
Yeah.
3 months, right? Something like that. It was, and she was says, "Vatetzav achoto merachok." It was in small teva, little boat in the, and then the daughter, the Nile, the daughter of Bitya, the daughter of Pharaoh came, and she was staying there waiting. Hashem says, "You're waiting for your brother just few minutes." The whole camp of Israel wait for you 7 days, because Hashem always pays in 1,000 times more. You help someone a little bit, Hashem says, I'll help you much more.
She's poor, right?
You support someone just a little, I'll do as much. Because the hands of Hashem is big. They always say in the prayers, Hashem, give us out of your hand. Because your hand is greater, is bigger. It's the best. Okay? It says, there's a story about one of the great rabbis that when he was a child, he was a little bit upset at the store, and long story short, it was in the store when they had a lot of boxes of candy, boxes of almond, boxes of beans. They're like in the sack, the old-fashioned stores. And the store owner told the boy, "You can just take a handful of candies. Go ahead." He wants to make him happy. And then he says, he saw that his head is still down. He says, "Don't you want to take?" He says, "No." "So what do you want?" He says, Can you give me? I don't want to take." And he says, "Okay, I'll give it to you." And then he grabbed it and gave it to him. And then he says, "Why you want it?" He says, "Because your hands are bigger. I get more candies." The hands of Hashem are bigger. I always ask to be fed from the hands of Hashem. Okay, I think we're going to stop here for today. There's a lot more to share. As we were just in titles, we've learned a lot, Baruch Hashem, today. Please prepare yourself, drink a lot. It's the key for tomorrow. It's even better than eating, believe me. Don't eat spicy or salty things, it's going to make you thirsty. And always when I hear people complain, it's about they feel that they are. No one is exempt from this fast unless, as the list I mentioned, someone is sick or elderly, or have to go through some, medical treatment or something like that. Other than that, you're not exempt. Be part of this fast, so Be'ezrat Hashem, you will take part of seeing the building of Jerusalem and the Beit HaMikdash. And only those who will fast will get the merit to see Jerusalem built again. On behalf of Ohev Israel Foundation, I want to thank the Medina family and all the participants. God bless you with all the barachot in the Torah. May Hashem send a refuah shlema, speedy recovery, to Murphy's family and all the children, and to Andy Rojas as well. God bless you all. See you, Be'ezrat Hashem. And all those who are watching us. Right now we have few. Next week we have Be'ezrat Hashem. I'm not sure actually if we'll have a class. I might go out of town for a day or two. My wife needs some rest after the wedding and all. So we will have Be'ezrat Hashem, maybe, I'm thinking, to go out. We'll see. We're driving, yeah. So if it will be no class. If it will be, you know me, I'll make efforts to come. If I'm out of town, I'm out of town. Any questions? God bless you with all the berachot of the Torah. Please go to Ohev Israel Foundation and click on the link if you can, Be'ezrat Hashem, and help us out to spread more Torah and help more families in need. When you do that, you take a share with helping families in need and spreading Torah around the world. God bless you all. Thank you. It's Ohev Israel Foundation. Thank you.